a lovely afternoon. I am Richa Valeja from ILA, and this is ILA Tribe's Alumni Podcast, where we invite our alumni to share their stories, their struggles, their success, everything with us so that you guys can get inspiration from them. So today we have a very beautiful and lovely guest whose name is Sonia Pardesi, and she is an image consultant with a huge experience. And I'm 100% sure that today we are going to learn a lot from her. So I would like to welcome Sonia. Yes, Sonia.
Hi, Richa. Thank you so much for having me over. I'm super excited to be interacting with you today.
It's my pleasure to have you over here. I'm very, very excited because I have an image consultant and I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot and I'm going to improve my personality as well.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you,
always.
Sonia. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, Sonia. So before we begin, I really would like you to start where you can introduce yourself and let the audience know what exactly you do and how you entered this industry.
Right. So, just to give you a brief understanding of what I do, so I'm an image consultant and a transformation coach. So, I advise and counsel people on personal appearance, and I have been in the profession for the last 13 years now. I'm also an NLP practitioner. And of course, I got my NLP certification through ILA. So, as an image consultant, I have trained over 7,000 people from different walks of life. Yeah, through individual consultations, corporate training programs. I have also been associated with a beauty pageant, which was called Mrs. India I'm Beautiful. This was in 2019. And yeah, so I think this entire journey of image consulting has been extremely enriching because I have also learned so much from people when I worked with them. I think you tend to learn from the people whom you train and coach. It's extremely enriching, it's extremely fulfilling. It's a very, very satisfying profession to be in. So I feel very blessed that I stumbled upon this profession and that this is something that has become a part of my DNA now. So yeah.
That's lovely, Sonia. I'm highly inspired. You have a lot of achievements. You have done great in life, and it's
I
brilliant.
have
It's brilliant to have you
I know
here.
I have a very long way to go.
I am sure 100% the way you have done in the past and you're doing, for sure, future has a lot to offer you. Okay, Sonia, so I have one question. This is an alumni podcast where we, call our alumni who have done a lot of courses from ILA. We all know everything, like how the coaching starts and how it ends, but still there are some people who would like to understand that what is the difference between a coach or in coaching and training. If you could help us in knowing that so that the questions could be resolved which are there in the minds of people. Would you
Right.
like to shed some light?
So a coach is predominantly someone who does a very personalized, who has a very personalized approach, right? You're also mentoring in so many ways. You're also doing a very one-to-one kind of a session. Now, training involves a group of people whom you're training, right? So there are certain specific modules that you're covering, and you need them to understand that. They will internalize it. Coaching is a couple of steps ahead of that because it's very, very you're making sure that the person is going to incorporate the concepts, internalize them, and work on themselves. So I would say coaching has a more personalized approach, and there is also an aspect of mentoring involved in coaching. So I feel that is the slight difference between coaching and training. But I would say I've been a coach as well as a trainer because I've been working with people as a trainer as well as a coach. So I remember when I was I was with an institute where I was visiting faculty and I was alumni. So the institute where I got trained in image consulting. So I was training with them for about 9 years. I was training budding image consultants, right? So that is basically training where you are imparting that knowledge where they also become trainers. When you coach, you're doing your individual consultations, I feel. So this is the slight difference between the two.
That's lovely, Sonia. I think this was something needed because majority
Yeah.
of the times, even we tend to get confused, right? Whether we should call ourselves as coaches or trainers. So I'm sure people will learn a lot. So my next question would be, Sonia, would you like to share some memorable moment of your journey where you felt that yes, this is a turning point in my career?
I think I've had so many memorable moments, especially when I've worked with clients. I think, especially when you get the client feedback, right, where they say that you've really transformed my life. You have, you don't even know the kind of impact that you've brought in. And I still don't feel that. I feel that, I did my work, but I really wanted to empower them in the process. So there are so many such moments. But of course, I would say that I think it's also the recognition that you receive, right? That is a memorable, event. And I remember when I received both my awards. One was I won the award, which was Corporate Stylist of the Year in 2019. Then in 2021, through ILA, I won the Global Outstanding Leadership Award. So for me, these were the turning points, like getting recognition for my work. And I think that was what gave me the impetus to move forward, to surge forward. So, yeah.
That's lovely feedbacks. I feel like, they give you a push,
They give you a push, yes.
right? So we tend to move in the right direction and we also feel inspired. Yeah, I'm bringing something, in their lives.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly.
great. All right, Sonia, so another question would be, would you like to share some challenges or struggles that you faced as a coach and how did you overcome them?
So I would cite a couple of challenges. One would be, I think this is for all the coaches out there to understand that if you are a freelancer. So I've been a freelancer, and this is what I chose. This is the path that I chose because I wanted to move away from the shackles of a 9 to 5 job, and that's when I wanted to be my own boss. And when I came across image consulting as a profession, I was like, this is for me, right? Like, because it's also gotten flexibility and I can choose my working hours and everything. But having said that, when you have flexibility, when you're a freelancer, the downside is that you also have variable income,
Mm.
right? And it's not always that you're going to be constantly, you can't be training. See, there have been instances where some of the occupational hazards are that I've been training and training and training so often, so continuously, that I literally had to be on voice rest. My throat was aching, so the doctor said you need to be on rest, and I'm like, how am I supposed to survive this? That's my bread and butter, right? But then, of course, thankfully, I was going to take off on a holiday, and I managed to give myself some rest. But having said that, variable income, right? Because the fact that you're earning, sometimes it's going to be you earn a lot of money, and then sometimes it's a lull, right? The important aspect is to be prepared that if you are a freelancer, there would be highs and lows as part of your work, where you should not feel stagnated or inadequate or give up that 1 month you've not gotten enough work, right? You should also be trying. You should constantly keep trying. You should put yourself out there, market yourself in the right manner so that you get work coming your way, but not give up hope. Number one. Number two, another challenge that I faced was during COVID. When COVID happened, I was completely in the offline space, right? So I was doing face to face consultations, face to face training programs. Now, suddenly everything came to a standstill. And I had to move or transition from the offline to the online space. And this online space was for at least 3 years, right? You're not anticipating 3 years happening where you're just going to be online. Now, the whole aspect of understanding, navigating through, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams or Zoom calls was very daunting for me. But I feel that I was also blessed in so many ways because I had a good support system in the form of friends who were in the right fields, who helped me in terms of marketing myself, digital marketing. And I was able to market myself. I was also able to put myself out there. I used to do these live sessions. So I don't even know how the transition happened, but the transition happened, touch wood, very smoothly. So that was one of the biggest challenges, like how am I going to get work during COVID? But thankfully, I think being a coach, people at that point in time needed it. People needed to, be somebody should talk to them about how should they feel good about themselves, right? Even if they don't step out of their house, they still have to, maybe what is their body language in the meetings, in the online meetings, what is their facial expression like, how do they dress up for a meeting, how do they sit in front of the camera, right? So these were the different aspects that I had to create so many different types of sessions for the benefit of the online professional community. So I think for me that was one of the biggest challenges, but that turned into a, it was an advantage for me actually, because now then I'm like handling both the online and offline, sessions.
That's great. So basically, somewhat I understood that never giving up is the option, no matter whatever the circumstances are
Yeah,
coming. Solutions will always be there. We have to be positive and look forward for the solutions, then for sure we can excel. Great,
absolutely.
Sonia. So my third question would be, what role does empathy play in your coaching approach? And how do you build trust with your clients? Now, building trust is something very important.
Yeah, that's
So
very
I
true.
would like to know your views on it.
So I'm going to come to the trust aspect later, but first and foremost, the most important thing that any trainer or coach needs to possess is empathy or emotional intelligence. I think, in fact, I wrote an article last year in one of the Bombay Stock Exchange Forum magazine. It was a magazine for the stockbrokers, and I wrote an article about emotional intelligence and empathy. And it's a very important quality to have. I think everybody should possess it, where you're understanding where the person is coming from, right? So in my line of work, I try to go into the grassroots level of understanding the person's inner image. What is their perception of themselves? And how am I going to work with them on that? And empowering is the next most important thing that we need to work on. Make them self sufficient, self reliant, but at the same time, work on their self image. So when I understand where that person is coming from, where that person's insecurities are coming from, or anxieties or fears, that's how I'm going to be able to work with them at a deeper level. So emotional intelligence, empathy, very important. Second of all, when it comes to trust, now see, I always try to have an icebreaker of sort, like a session with a client. I prefer a face to face, but especially if the client is in another city or if they live very far off, then I try to have an interaction where I try to slowly draw them out of their shell in the first instance only, where of course it's not easy, but you're just trying to ask them what is their personal life like. I mean, you don't go too deep into it, but what is their lifestyle like? What is their social life like? What is their professional life like? What are the challenges that they face? So you are just leading them on to opening up to you, right? And that's how you're going to build the trust, by not pushing them. You just give them a slight encouragement. But if you see that they're not opening up to you, you don't really, okay, tell me, what is your personal life like? Why is your marriage all okay? Is your family all okay? Right? You don't ask all those questions. You try to ask more on the professional front or the social front. And slowly, that's how when you're allowing them to be themselves, that's how you're going to slowly draw them out of their shell. So sometimes it so happens that people immediately pour their heart to you. Sometimes they take their time. Like I've had instances where clients do not, they have this defense mechanism. They don't want to open up. So you don't force them to open up. You just, within the gamut of your training, you just move within that space and encourage them to open up. But if they don't, then you let them be. But you do what you're supposed to do. So that's how you're going to be able to build trust in your clients. And you're also saying that whatever you're discussing, this is a safe space. There is client confidentiality between the two of us, right? So I'm not going to be talking about your problems to somebody else, or who you are, or anything. So especially in individual consultations, when it comes to image management, that is why I don't really project, I don't put up pictures with my clients, because that whole confidentiality aspect is there. So there is a very large amount of trust that exists between me and my clients, and they automatically can understand. I think when you have the conviction, when you're very sure of what you're doing, when you're also very straightforward and assertive, they are able to build that understanding with you.
All right. So providing a comfort and safe zone is the key over
Yes,
here.
yes.
Great. All right, Sonia. So my next question is, how do you tailor your coaching style to meet the needs of different individuals or groups?
So, as much as modules will be similar, but with each person is very different. So, everybody comes to me with their different needs and requirements. So, somebody might need training in leadership, somebody else might need it in executive presence or presentation skills, in terms of the way they dress up or groom themselves. What is their body language like, or their public speaking or communication skills? So the icebreaker session that I have The preliminary session is called a client need analysis. So that's a 1 hour session where I sit with them and ask a whole lot of questions about the perception of themselves that they have, the perception that other people have of them, and what are their social roles and goals, social, professional, personal roles and goals, and how do they see themselves maybe a year from now, right? What is the intrinsic aspect of themselves that they want to work on? So there are so many questions that go back and forth where you're asking them, and you're pulling them out of their, their comfort zone, and that's how you that's how it helps me customize the sessions for them. So once I ask them a whole set of questions, then I would know what are the gray areas, what are the areas that they need to work on, and then I customize the sessions according to their needs and requirements.
Okay. It's a kind of a questionnaire you provide them in the beginning, whether in terms of written or verbal.
Yes.
Accordingly, you.
So I ask the questions. I
Hmm.
also give them an understanding of what image management is essentially about. I
Hmm.
also try to understand, I do something like a SWOT analysis to understand their strengths. So this gives me a deeper understanding of them, right?
All
We will also start thinking about what are their strengths, what are their not so developed strengths. And then that also gets me closer to what are the sessions I would like to do with them.
Okay, so my next question is based on technology. So, in what ways do you see technology is influencing the future of training and coaching, or how it is going to influence?
I think already things have become so different. The dynamics have changed, right? Like ever since COVID happened, everybody has moved into the online space, and it's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get bigger. I myself have, done panel discussions with people who are living in the US, and people who do these like these panel discussions, or they do like talk shows and everything. They have people who are from different countries, and they've brought them all together on one platform, and everybody is discussing about a common topic, right? So whether it's a panel discussion, whether you are training somebody, I have clients who live abroad, I have clients who live in different cities. So already if you see, literally the world has become smaller, right? Because of technology. So, as much as a lot of us find technology quite intimidating, but at the same time, we can't do without it. So, I think it's only going to get bigger and better, and it's going to get much more seamless and effortless, because now we are doing a podcast over Zoom. Tomorrow, it's going to be something else, right? Another platform, and it's going to be much easier. It'll just seem like we are sitting right next to each other, right? So yeah, and I think it's just going to get better. And I think it's amazing that it's going to be easier for us coaches or trainers.
Surely, surely. All right, Sonia. So, what skills or mindset do you believe are essential for someone to succeed as a coach?
First and foremost, one is patience, right? Be very patient with your clients or with the group of people that you're going to be training, because not everybody is going to be extremely sweet and kind and gentle. People might be difficult. We are dealing with complex personalities, right? Human psychology is very complex. So everybody comes from different walks of life. They come from different thought processes. So it's important to accept people for who they are and what they are. So one is to be patient. The other is also to be assertive. So when you are a trainer, it's very important that you are assertive, because you are imparting knowledge. You need to be very sure of what you're imparting. You need to be very sure of yourself, and you need to be very, very mindful of how you're going to be handling that crowd, right? So sometimes you might land up with a bunch of people who could be probably 20, they could be 30, they could even be 100. Not everybody is going to always be like, oh my God, very friendly. And some of them will be like, who do you think you are? That kind of a look, right? So it's important not only to be assertive, so that you know that even if somebody is like, you know how you're supposed to handle people who are difficult. One. Another thing is also to be emotionally intelligent, to understand where they are coming from, and empathetic, to be very sure of yourself, and to also practice mindfulness. It's very important that you are a calm person. You are, no matter how many, whatever your challenges are, you're able to be in control of yourself and your emotions, and don't let your emotions show on your face. Even if somebody said something, you should be able to say it in such a way that they are able to get the message, but at the same time you don't come across as rude. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Sonia. Not showing and not bringing it on your face is the most important skill, I feel.
And another thing I feel is also having a high level of energy.
Yeah.
Why? Because when you're training, you have an energy exchange that is happening. Only when
Hmm.
you're going to be vibrating higher, would people you'll be able to bring people to that frequency. Now you have to bring
Yes.
people to that frequency. If you're going to be like down and out and everything, people are not going to be interested in your talk.
Absolutely. All right. So, Sonia, with this, I'll move forward to the next question. Would you like to share an example how you have helped a client to achieve a significant breakthrough? Like, you can talk about anyone
Yeah.
without sharing their identity.
Their identity, yeah. In fact, I do have like many, but I would like to talk about two actually.
Sure.
One was at the start of my career. So, in fact, I was just out of the whole image consulting certification, everything, and I was out there. I had started to train at the institute, and I came across a client who had a cleft palate, and he also had a hole in his eardrum. So if you're communicating, he'll probably look at your lips and then understand what you're saying, right, to him. So he wanted image consulting sessions, and the first question that he asked me was, do you really think I'm even worthy of this? Do you think I'm worth it? So imagine what I would have felt, because first of all, I'm new, and this man is like telling me, do am I worthy? I realized I had a lot of work to do, right? To make him, and he's to come from like a city which is about an hour away from here. So you can imagine that there is a lot of effort that goes into coming for my sessions. So this man was like, I said, see, one thing you need to remember, that all of us are unique, all of us are worthy. So never undervalue yourself, or never underestimate yourself or your capabilities. So I said, whatever you're doing the best, because, and he had undergone 4 surgeries for the cleft palate, and he also wanted to get married. So I did the sessions for him, and I also literally had to pen down how should he lead his life. So he told me, how should I lead my life? So literally from the books that he should read to the plays that he should go for, the movies that he should watch. I even connected him to a bikers club. So a friend of mine was a part of the bikers club, and they used to take bikes and go to different cities. So he went with them. And he came back and he told me his experience. He says, I don't eat non-vegetarian, I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I've had the time of my life. You have totally changed my perspective about my life. And then I think a couple of years down the line, when he was getting married, he still remembered me, and he sent me an invite. And I said, I'm so overwhelmed that you invited me for your wedding. He said, how can I not invite you? You've really, created so much of a difference in my life. I will never forget you. So that for me was, like amazing. Another one was, this was about, I think, 1.5 years ago. This particular girl was about a teenager, must have been about 18 or 19 or something, and she came through me through another client, and he's like, she was a family friend's daughter. Later on, I got to know also that we had a lot of common connects, and like through friends and everything. And I really didn't know what I was going in for, because this client of mine tells me that she's just one of those girls who just is like all over the place, and she needs to be told about how to present herself right, to be more focused on her studies and everything. So I'm thinking that it's a simple situation. Now I go and I talk to her for 2 hours. She tells me the kind of stuff that she's gone through, and that she wanted to literally take her life, and she had come to Bangalore to literally take her life. And for me, that was like, I didn't know how to react at that moment, right? But then, of course, I had to show that, I don't show that this is like what has happened. And The kind of experiences that she told me about were so traumatic that I think she would probably have needed years of therapy, because it was life changing in the worst possible manner. So I can't even bring myself to talking about the kind of experience that she had, but I remember her crying and telling me that. Now I know that I'm not a counselor, but a lot of times image consultants are also looked as counselors. But then I said, even if I can help this girl out 1%, then I've done my bit. But somewhere, as long as I'm able to convince her that she should not take her life, that then I have achieved something. I remember talking to, I, of course, like another friend of mine, of course, I didn't mention the identity of the person, But I just said, I'm in a situation like this. And I remember her telling me that, I think this is not even in your area of work, because you're not a counselor. You're not as much as I've studied psychology, I'm not a psychiatrist either, or a psychologist. So, but then I said, no, I think I'm going to help her. And of course, for me, it used to be very emotionally draining every time I used to do the session. So I had to do different techniques to get back to feeling normal again. But I did a couple of sessions for her. And with every session, I used to see that, she used to be happier. She used to be more, like full of life and everything. And then I think after I finished my session, I had gone to another city where she was from. And then I told you that there are common connects, and we had gone for a function, and it was apparently her family function. And she comes running from behind and she gives me a tight hug, and she's the happiest. Now she's like, she was not very sure of joining this college. And then convinced her about joining the college, and she joined the college. And then I was, of course, in touch with her from time to time. And she's like, I'm in a good space. I'm very happy with where I am. And her parents were very happy when they saw. They said, what you've done is great, and we would of course love to be connected with you going forward as well. But I think when I saw her happy face, that was it for me. So yeah.
Inspiring, Sonia. Highly inspiring. The way you have brought the changes, of course, they were blessed. That's why,
Oh,
right?
that's thank you. But I did try my best. I really wanted her
Yes.
to, find her path.
Of course, of course. The situation you told me about, of course,
Yeah.
that was a traumatic one.
Yeah.
All right, Sonia. So I would also like to know, what do you think? How important is self-reflection and self-improvement in your coaching philosophy?
I think it's extremely important, and that too on a day-to-day basis. Just because we are trainers or coaches and we have undergone a certain level of training doesn't mean that we are going to yeah, how do I say, internalize the concepts that we have learned ourselves. We need to practice what we preach, right? And I think it's a constant every day. I wouldn't call it a struggle or a battle. It's almost like that, because you need to be constantly working on yourself. Because when you are talking about, hey, you need to be positive, hey, you need to be mindful, you need to be very sure of yourself, you need to have a high self esteem. So when I'm talking to somebody about that, I need to have a high self-esteem myself. And I'm human at the end of the day. So I will have my good days and bad days. But that doesn't mean that for like predominantly most part of the days, I'm going to be very low and sullen. And then just in front of my client, I'm all happy. And no, I need to be practicing positivity and the high self have a high self esteem on a day to day basis. And what are the things that I need to do, especially when it comes to taking care of myself? So whether it's taking care of my body, making sure that I lead a healthy lifestyle, making sure that I'm exercising right, making sure that I'm taking care of my skin. When I'm talking about hair, when I'm talking about skin, when I'm talking about clothing, I need to be practicing it also in the right manner. Plus, I need to be in a high life condition. So only when I'm in a high life condition will I be able to get my clients on a high life condition as well and empower them eventually. So it's very important to do a check on ourselves on a regular basis from time to time. Um, am I doing it right? What am I doing? Am I in the right place? Am I happy with myself? And I think we need to do this check every once in a while in order to be able to work on the things that are not probably working for us, and making sure that we develop all the positives, right? And it's important. So self-respect, self reflection or introspection is extremely essential on a regular basis with regards to coaches.
Exactly. Preach what you teach. I think
Absolutely.
that leaves a lasting impression in the minds of all the candidates or the students or clients we have. All right, Sonia, it was a great answer. Acha, now the last thing would be like, what advice would you like to give to the people who are starting their coaching journey? And sometimes they have self-doubt whether they'll be able to do it or not, what struggles. Like there are a lot of questions in their mind. So what
Right.
advice you have for the people?
I think, see, and I would say it from personal experience. The fact that, I remember I didn't even think. I just took the plunge. Right? Most of the times they are, and I'm telling you, I've had self-image issues when I was in school. And I really had to work on myself in order to become a confident person, maybe when I was 17 or 18, and be very sure of myself. But that required a lot of hard work. So one is, the most important thing is that you need to be very self aware, be very sure of yourself that, okay, I have gotten myself certified, I am just going to take the plunge. I am not going to think, okay, maybe not this, maybe not that, maybe some other opportunity, maybe whatever seems easier, I'm going to take it up. I remember when I was undergoing this image consulting certification, at the institute they used to do these free workshops for people. So the people, the institute, the management, they asked me to do a training session. So that was my first training. I have done, emceeing and all, but emceeing is very different, right? You're reading from a script. This is different because you're going to have people asking you questions. So I told this lady, I said, I'm not sure. Do you think that can I do it the next time? Maybe I'll be more confident. She's like, there's no next time. It's now or never. You have to just do it. Just take the plunge. And that's something which stayed with me forever. And I did it, and it turned out to be like amazing. Everybody said, wow, we loved your training and everything. And I was like, I didn't even think about it. I really practiced and rehearsed before I went and trained. But I think whenever you have this self doubt, you need to first tell your mind plays games, right, on us. So it's important that you ask your mind to stop and you say, no, I'm very certain, I'm very sure of myself, I'm going to take the plunge. It's good to have mentors, it's good to have certain coaches who are your role models. You can always mirror their techniques, because that also gives you a perspective on how you want to deliver and how you want to facilitate. But it's very important that you try to create your own style of training, right? And that will happen through experience over a period of time. So always be open to opportunities that are coming your way, whether they are pro bono. Initially let them be pro bono, because until you get the experience you don't want to charge. So let it be pro bono, get your experience. Be sure of yourself when you're talking to a group of 20 people or to a group of 100 people. Once you get that experience, then slowly you will exactly know what is your style of training. So don't be harsh on yourself that this is how it should be, or I need to tutor myself in a certain way. Just go with the flow.
It was brilliant, Sonia. So now I would like to know something about ILA, right? You are our proud alumni, right? So how ILA has helped you in your career or in your coaching journey?
For me, I feel ILA is like family. Kaushik is like a brother to me. And I feel that, my association with ILA has been for so many years. And I think Kaushik and we met, I remember via LinkedIn through, the fact that I'm an image consultant and he runs this academy, and how are we going to try and find a middle path to working together. And in the course of that, I also did NLP, which Kaushik offered to me. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I want to be an NLP practitioner. And there was another session that I did, which with ILA, which was very enriching. I learned so much. In fact, every time I have been associated with any of the ILA events, whether it's a summit, whether it's a panel discussion, whether I've come and spoken or I've done a training, I think for me it has been, I have grown as a person. For me, ILA is like literally like a family. I always look at everybody, the associations that I've had, they've helped me really grow in so many ways. So and I think we have always been, I think ILA is such a positive community, and empowering so many people. And I just feel, and the best thing is that it's empowering, right? So people are on their own, they are able to figure things out on their own. There's a lot of hand holding that is also involved. So yeah, so our association has been at many different levels, and I feel that ILA is only going to grow and grow, and I really laud ILA for the amazing amount of work that it's doing. And I would love to be a continued how do I say, I would love to have a continued association with ILA going forward as well, through different sessions. But I would say personally, I have learned a lot and grown, you know, uh, through my association.
That's lovely, Sonia. It was a great talk with you, and I'm really thankful to you for all the inputs. And of course, the way ILA is growing, I'm sure you will also be growing in your life, and this association will continue for long. So, On this note, I would like to wind up this session, Sonia. And thank you so much for your valuable time and all the information that you have provided to us and also to the people who are watching this podcast. I'm sure they're going to learn a lot from here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Richa. Thank you so much for having me over. I would like to thank you. I would like to thank Team ILA and Kaushik for giving me this lovely, this opportunity to share my thoughts and insights. And I wish you all the very best. And I look forward to a continued association with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you so much. Take care and have a great day. See
Thank
you
you.
soon.
See you.